Hey lovelies, it's Victoria and I am here with my spoiler-free review on The Long Walk, based on the novel adaptation by Stephen King, directed by Francis Lawrence, starring Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, Charlie Plummer, Ben Wang, Roman Griffin Davis, Judy Greer, and Mark Hamill. I guess the best place that we can start off with here is the plot of the film, because to be honest, I don't know about you guys, but this plot definitely was very intriguing and very just like encompassingly thrilling and complex when I think about it. Even I haven't even read all of the book, but from the little that I got a chance to read of it, I was already like taken aback real quickly. And this film pretty much did the same thing to me, just on a different level. The Long Walk is about 50 young men, each from a state from the United States, who is voluntarily chosen to go on the annual Long Walk, where they have to walk non-stop for hundreds of miles with the totalitarian military regime behind their back, and where the winner is the last one walking. Where at the end of the walk they will receive a cash prize and a wish granted, set in the backdrop of an alternate 20th century America that was ruined by war. Yep, definitely giving me Hunger Game vibes when I think about it, only if a few decades earlier than we'll say the first one, and in the US. But of course, I am not surprised with it being a film adaptation of Stephen King's book. And let's just say that in case you don't know who Stephen King is, I would hope that you know who Stephen King is. He is the incredible mastermind and writer behind books like It, Carrie, The Shining, Misery, Cujo, and so many more that I don't have all the time in the world to list all of them. But he is one of the most brilliant horror writers of a generation, we'll just say, because he has done a lot. And so with this being also a film adaptation from a book that he wrote, I am not surprised by all the different elements of just, dystopian filled storytelling and horrific and thrilling moments of just that will really just knock you off your feet and also makes you think afterwards. Also, with Francis Lawrence at the helms of this film, I honestly was not surprised with what I got while I was watching the film. And in case you don't know who he is, he's the director of the film. And I think he was definitely the best choice to direct this movie. And also, speaking of Hunger Games, he's the one who directed The Hunger Games Catching Fire, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, and The Hunger Games, The Ballad of, oh my goodness, how can I keep forgetting that name? The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. There you go. And he's going to be directing the next upcoming Hunger Games film, Sunrise on the Reaping. So I was satisfied with the choice they made and who they picked to direct this film, which was Francis Lawrence. And also, on top of that, in case you didn't know, he also directed films aside from the Hunger Games. He directed one of my personal favorites, I Am Legend. He directed Water for Elephants, Constantine, and Red Sparrow. So he's been around for a bit. And I've always been a fan of his directing style and the way he tells a story through film. Because it's like I always thought that he pretty much always knew how to add action and emotion in the right spots of a scene. And his use of cinematography, which starts off as very serene like, but then the dark elements start to seep into that serene cinematic area backdrop of a film that he is filming. And it's like I said, I'm kind of already a fan of his work, so I think, and this film shows it as well, from as the boys are walking and as they're heading to different areas and different places, but it still is that same kind of feel, like, yeah, everything feels quite foreboding, even though it still feels like nothing really bad is happening here kind of feel. Let's talk about the cast of the film. And I know I did not mention all of the guys' names that are in this film, because that would have been, come on, that's a long list to pull off, but I will try to go through the cast based on the characters that they play in this section here. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's walk mainly through the cast list that we have here, the talented ensemble we have going through this film. So we have our lead character, Ray Garrity, who is from Maine, played by Cooper Hoffman, who you may know him from films like Licorice Pizza, Saturday Night, Old Guy. He's actually a pretty good actor from what I've seen so far. And he is the character that we are pretty much following through this film the entire time. He's the one that we start off with, we come into the film with, and we are pretty much kind of rooting for him to get whatever it is that he's trying to get out of going on this walk. And just to add, we are also very much unaware of what his intentions, motivations are behind going on this walk. We don't know what exactly it is that he wants, the wish that he wants granted, or what he wants if he does win this walk. We just know that we're with him through this walk. But we do know that he is in it for something more than just the usual wish or cash prize. We know that much. And I thought that Cooper played him very well, actually. I thought that he had both good levels of strength and vulnerability, with aspects of endurance and a caring nature for everyone else involved in the walk, and a bit of a vindictive side as we go along with him. But it's not surprising, because really, with all that is going on in the film and what kind of world that they are living in and where he's from, it's not surprising that he has somewhat of a vindictive attitude towards things. But it's also, there's more to, you learn that there's more to it than just that. And then we have our second lead character, who is Peter McVries. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, McVries, from New Jersey. And he is played brilliantly by David Johnson. And Peter, he is one of, let's just say that Peter is the one that Ray interacts with majority of the walk. So it's like they become friends during this walk, and they really do become actual friends during the walk. But it starts off with pretty much just they were interacting with each other, talking with each other through the ups and downs of this walk. And they do eventually end up forming a strong bond with one another during the walk, which is a beautiful thing, was a beautiful thing to see in this movie, because it really shows how people that come from different walks of life, whether it is they lived a better life than the other, or they both live the same sort of life but have different perspectives and experiences within those lives, how they can connect, how they can relate to one another and get along with each other. And so I really enjoyed that about this film. It was a very nice look into a friendship between two guys who really know nothing of each other, know nothing about each other, and yet they connect. Peter, the thing about Peter's character is that he starts off the film seeing the good in pretty much everything. Even in doing this walk, when he sees what goes down, what will happen if you don't keep up a certain pace. But he tries to look for the good in everything, every situation that he is put into. And that is definitely contrasting from Ray's character, who is pretty much like, he is just doesn't see the good in what the world has become and what this walk is, pretty much knowing how at the end of it all, it really doesn't mean anything. It's just all for what? A money prize, a wish granted, and then yet there were so many lives lost in the on the way to finding out who was gonna survive the walk. He didn't see anything good in just in that, or really anything good in just what the world has become, especially because of a certain tragedy that happens in Ray's life that somewhat becomes like a driving force for him in this film. Also, what I truly love about David playing this character is that he has this certain, like, he is pretty much, let's keep in mind that Peter is pretty much like the bright spot in this film. He's the one that's trying to keep the other guys' spirits lift up, and also form a little bit of a camaraderie with the boys in the walk that are willing to join in the camaraderie. And so he is doing this while in the midst of seeing people dying, seeing people get killed off when they are not keeping up the pace in the walk. Like I said, Peter is the one who's trying to keep everybody encouraged and trying to push them to keep going forward as much as they can. Along with Ray too, because Ray does eventually encourage people. He's been encouraging one guy in the film at the beginning to keep up a certain pace, even when he's suffering from a jolly horse. So that was definitely not easy to do. I mean, he could have just let it be what it may for that kid, but Ray shows that he does care about people, and so does Peter. He cares about the people in the race here. And so I felt that David gave that kind of somewhat compassionate, compelling, and somewhat charm to this character's personality. And so it makes for when the moments where he does get very emotional or gets angry, you know that the stakes have risen to their height for him. And so I felt that he brought that to this character very well in his acting. So I thought he did an excellent job playing Peter. I would love to go through all the details of the guys one by one, but then I would be stuck on this video forever. You guys will be stuck with me forever on this video. So I will just give you guys a general layout of the rest of the characters that I'll be talking about. Next, we have Billy Stebbins, who is played by Garrett Waring. I hope I'm saying his name right, because to be honest, the only time I've ever seen this actor before was in Independence Day Resurgence. That was the only time, sadly, that I've seen this guy, but who knows, maybe I will see him in more stuff later on. We'll see. But I thought that he was really good in this film, and his character, Billy Stebbins, he is kind of, what would you say? He's kind of like the pace holder of the film. He's the one that is definitely keeping with the pace and everything, but he is also hiding something. Like, it almost seems like he's hiding a few things about himself that he doesn't want really just anybody to know about, and including the wish that he has for if he does win this walk. And the thing is that he sort of keeps a lot of other things that he's dealing with hidden behind this like self-composed, albeit a bit of a-hole, we'll say, demeanor. And also, but leading up to what we find out about him, that starts to change as we go along and as his character goes on in this film, that he's really not who we really expected him to be. And it turns out that he's not the only character like that in this film. There's one other one who I'll be getting to in a sec. But I thought that Garrett did a brilliant job playing him, because it was like this character was definitely like carrying some heavy things while also just keeping up with what he is doing, what he's trying to do, but also coming to terms with what is it really worth at the end of it, doing what he does. And then we have Art Baker, who is played by Toot Nieuwet, who I hope I'm saying his name right, but if I didn't, please forgive me. Toot Nieuwet, who was I thought he was a very heartfelt character and full of resilience, and just that type of character who does value camaraderie and has that he values the relationship, this bond that he has formed with these other guys. And I think that he did a really awesome job bringing that sincerity and supportive quality to Art, because throughout there are some characters that he grows a friendship with that when he loses them, it is kind of hard for him to just say, okay, I gotta keep walking. It's more like, I need to help them. I can't just keep walking. I gotta help them so they can keep walking as well. And it's like, and so he is just a character who is truly good to the core, and he is just there to make friends at the end of it all. And then we have Hank Olsen, played by Ben Wang, who you guys might know from, let's just say, a film that recently came out, Karate Kid Legends. Yeah, that was him. He was the new protege, you could say. And he also played in Disney Plus's American Born Chinese. And from rumor has it, he's going to be in the new Hunger Games films coming out. So he's been definitely racking up on the roles. So good for you, Ben. But apart from that, in this film, he plays a character who is kind of... he's somewhat the semi-comic relief in the film, but at the same time, he isn't. He's more of like the guy that is just like going on with what he's doing, but he also has certain beliefs, some that involve supernatural elements to it, that he keeps with him as he goes along on this walk. And he also has things about him that you don't find out until afterwards, but he's a really good character. He definitely is the character who has like morals established. He doesn't really try to go against his morals, except for at certain points where it seemed like, well, there wasn't kind of like much of a choice, or really what was the point kind of feel. But other than that, his character was really awesome, and he was just going along with everybody else, and he was a part of the bond, the camaraderie that was formed with the boys on the walk that were joining in and becoming the Musketeers, we'll just say, because it wasn't 3 of them. There was a few more that joined in, and he was definitely one of them. But he also has moments where he could definitely talk a lot of, you know, he was definitely crap talking at points, but he knows how to, and when crap talk gets thrown at him, he knows how to throw it back without getting, you know, all, you know, like, how dare you kind of vibe about it. He could laugh it off. We have another interesting character in Gary Barkovich, who is played by Charlie Plummer, who actually, when I think about it, I have seen him in films before. One that I do remember vividly seeing him in was Words on a Bathroom Wall. Or no, Words on the Bathroom Walls. And then he was in other films like Wildflower, The Return, Gully, and other stuff that you may have seen him in. And so, but as far as with his acting in this film, Charlie's acting in the film, he played a character who was definitely started off as one thing, and we come to learn that he was someone completely different than what he was presenting at face value to everyone else around him. Like, what made him interesting to me as a character, in my opinion, was he started out as such a complete jerk in the film, and he was egging people on, telling them to do something stupid or just insulting them and whatnot. He showed that he had no regard for anyone's feelings or distress whatsoever. But in an instant, when something happens to a character, it almost appeared like it was just a mask that he was wearing, because it was like after one thing happened, it was like he was self-chastising himself, punishing himself for what happened. And so it's almost like this jerkish quality to him was just a mask that he was wearing, because deep down he is dealing with a whole lot of shame and emotional distress of his own that he just doesn't want people to see or notice. So he hides that behind being a bit of a, just not being himself. And in playing that character, I thought Charlie did a really fantastic job, a superb job in acting as this character. Because it's like he does give that level of not giving a blank, blank, blank about whatever is happening to anyone else aside from him. But then the next minute, his emotional side starts to seep through that mask that he is wearing. And it starts to show in how he treats the other guys as the film goes along, and how he shows that he kind of respects some of them that he has gotten to know during this walk, or got to see how they were during the walk. And so he does have a level of respect for certain characters, but it's not easy for him to show that or even verbally express that admiration. He just still goes along playing, wearing that jerk mask and just still being off-putting. And then we have Richard Harkness, who is played by Joshua Gonzalez, who I actually do remember from Pretty Little Liars, the original Sin series. And in this movie, he plays we'll just say that he plays the Stephen King stand-in in this film, because the character that he's playing, Richard, he is a character who is going along on the walk to write about it, to write about the long walk and the experiences of the walkers on the walk. And also, if the Stephen King comparison doesn't hit hard enough for you, just saying that he's a writer, he also is wearing glasses and all. So, but either way, my point is that he is playing a character that is basically going on the walk to write about it. And so, and record everything going on. And he's a little bit annoying, but he's still fine as a character. I mean, why not? Why can't you have a bit of an annoying writer character in the film? And he didn't really, he wasn't annoying to the max. It was just in moments where it was just like, okay, can you please go somewhere else for a moment? Just for a little moment, because I'm trying to focus on just keeping up the pace here. And then we have Collie Parker, who is played by Joshua Odjick, I think it is. But I've seen him in films before. I've seen him in Sweet Summer, Pow Wow, and he was in some other things too, that I can't really name right now. But I do know him from that movie. And Collie is a bit of a, we'll just say, he's the more fit and quiet, cocky character in the film, we'll say, because he is very, like, he tells it how it is kind of character, but at the same time he does show elements of kindness and loyalty and quiet admiration for certain characters in this film. And he's also gets to know a little bit about certain characters in the film because they were just talking to each other, and so it was probably a shocker to find out that he was talking to one of the other characters because he seems so quiet a majority of the time in the film. But he really is a very nice character, very even in his own way, good to the core type of character. But at the same time, and Joshua playing him, I liked it. I liked how he played this character because it was just very like, we can't even say what he is gonna wish for if he win the race or anything like that. But we can definitely say that he is a character that really doesn't care solely just about himself, and that he definitely has a heart. He has a sense of kind of like, okay, I'm helping where I can help, even though it doesn't seem like what's the point in doing that anyway in something like this, in an event like this. And last but not least, we also have Thomas Curley, who is played by Jojo Rabbit. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Roman Griffin Davis. But now you can see where I'm going in my next talk of it. My next little spiel of it is that Roman Griffin Davis, he was Jojo Rabbit in Jojo Rabbit, but he was also in other films like The King of Kings, Silent Night. And he's a really good actor. And he plays this character who actually, he goes by Curly more than Thomas Curley. So he plays Curly, and his character is pretty much like the youngest of all the other guys in the race. And very much kind of like that, how can I put it? He's just the innocent one. He's the way in over his head type of character who really doesn't realize how deadly this is truly going to get. And so, but the thing is that I felt that Roman acted him very decently, very well for the character that he is. And it really is very, like, when it comes down to it, his character was just, you could almost say he was like a character that, like a soldier, a young boy who decided to get himself drafted into war, not having a clue of how crazy things were going to get by choosing to go into it. But yeah, if my mix-up didn't give you a hint right there that he was in Jojo Rabbit as Jojo Rabbit, well, then you must have not seen Jojo Rabbit. But either way, it was nice seeing him in this film a little bit more grown up, and also seeing him play this character. Now, you know I was not going to end the talking about the cast lineup without talking about Judy Greer and Mark Hamill, did ya? No way. But let's start off with talking about Judy Greer, because she definitely has been in the acting scene for quite a while and has been well known to play character roles. But she does, I really think, for the times that I have seen her in films, she plays a tremendous amount of different types of roles that really I feel are underrated, and at points kind of like were just overlooked, and I just felt wasn't fair. In case for people who do not know Judy Greer, she has played in all different types of films. She played in The Wedding Planner, she played in The Village, she played in Carrie, she was in the recent, well, I can't say recent, so I'll just say the names: Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes. And she was also in Halloween and Halloween Kills and The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And she plays in a whole lot more other stuff that I will not be delivering that huge lineup. I gave you a few things of what she was in. But it also shows with her being in Carrie that she is no stranger to being in a Stephen King adaptation. And so in this film, she plays the mother of Ray Garrity, and she is Jeannie, that's her name. And she is a very loving, supportive mom, albeit still concerned about why her son is choosing to do what he is doing by going into this walk voluntarily, and really knowing that it's like not knowing if she's gonna see her son again alive or not. And so, but she plays that very well. I always thought that Judy Greer was good when it came to playing certain characters that there's so much that they wish to say underneath them just being quietly supportive of someone, or even just going along with things. There is still so much lying underneath, just by looking at her eyes. And I always felt that Judy always knew how to bring on that type of emotion, but not all at once when playing characters. And it all plays through her facial expressions, through her eyes, like I already said. So it really was nice seeing her play this character in the film, even though I won't say she's in there the whole screen time, but for the times that she is on screen, you feel for her. You feel for what she's seeing her son put himself through, what he's allowing himself to be a part of, even though, and you know that she really doesn't support him doing this, but she's letting him go because this is what he claims to want to do. And we also have our villain, the Major, played by the one and only Star Wars legend Luke Skywalker, and the voice of the notorious animated Batman villain himself, the Joker, Mark Hamill. You know I had to do it, guys. You know I had to do it, because this guy, talk about legends, he has been around for so long in film and voice acting, for as long as I can remember, and even my parents can remember. And need I say all the numerous film, television, and just voice acting credits this guy has? Because that would be a huge list ends of itself if I was to post all that up here for y'all. But in this movie, he plays the mysterious and nihilistic Major who is heading this long walk. And is he walking during this whole walk? No, he is sitting in nicely comfortable in a Jeep while he watches the walk happen. Woo, I wonder how those actors felt when they he ain't gonna be doing no walking, it's just them. My point is, he is the one overseeing the walk. And I'm telling you, this character is so evil. So evil, just to the point that you even wonder, is he even truly human at points? He has nothing to lose by doing what he's doing in this film as this character. He isn't afraid of death, and he takes pleasure in the long walk. He believes in it. He believes in the purpose for it, and really could care less about how it's affecting these boys on the walk. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care who lives, who dies. It's just, this is just the long walk. This is how it is. And I guess, to be fair, because he believes in the long walk, he probably, and also just believing in the purpose behind it, he cares about that so much that he could care less about anything else apart from that. So just to be fair, that is probably the only thing that he cares about. It would be a good thing to note that the Major is always shown wearing sunglasses in the film, which I feel is kind of just like another way of, because if you know the saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul, well, the fact that we never get to see his eyes because he's wearing the sunglasses all the time makes him even that more mysterious, and also kind of like him sort of blocking out seeing humanity as it is. The sunglasses is his way of just like, seeing them as just bodies that are being killed, that are walking, and he can distance himself from the humanity aspect of it. If you've been following Mark Hamill's career, he is no stranger to playing villains either. He definitely can play very good villains, like I mentioned, the Joker, but that's not the only villain that he's played. He's played others in, from what I can say, in more animated formats, but at the same time, he still brings a quality to his villainy when he's playing a villain, which is different from what you could see someone just trying to act like a villain. And I'll say that he definitely brings his A game onto this character, who, especially when he's giving these motivational speeches and pumping the boys up for why this walk is important and how they are truly bringing honor to their state and to themselves by joining in on this annual walk. But at the end of the day, it's like, what was that honor for if they just ended up dying for it and never get a chance to go back home and to bring that honor back alive and well? It's just, he's a very twisted character because he's trying to twist the reality by presenting them, telling them what anybody would want to hear in order for them to motivate themselves to keep doing what they're doing, even though it's like doing something that is so pointless or just so like just dehumanizing. It's just interesting how he can still have that kind of effect on people through the way that he gives these types of speeches. Kind of just straight up manipulation, I will just say. But at the end of the day, the walk is really does nothing, means nothing, and these boys mean absolutely nothing to him. All right, let's get into the themes of the films now, shall we? And I'll just be listing what the themes are pretty much in this film, because really it gave me a lot of different like vibes when it came to just thinking about like a specific thing in history when I think about the themes of this film. Like, there's the illusion of choice and reward when you think about it, and loss of innocence, friendship and brotherhood, sacrifice, entertainment at the expense of or at the exploitation of human life, and totalitarian manipulation and control. Oh my, why am I starting to feel so Vietnam War vibes from this? Because this is what it's making me think of. It's making me think of films like Platoon and other forms of Vietnam Wars, but definitely not Good Morning Vietnam. And we have the cinematography in the film, which I thought was very brilliantly done. And I already mentioned why I'm such a big fan of Francis Lawrence and his style of filmmaking, because he knows how to basically film and also just bring that level of photography quality to certain films that are definitely dystopian and just dystopian filled, and very much kind of like we're living in a kind of like world that is not too far apart from our world, but still very much different. And also I felt like the shots themselves appeared fairly smooth. It didn't feel like there was too many like cuts here and there that they were just trying to match up together as best they could. It felt rather smooth. Now, it wasn't like a one-shot type of filming, but it was definitely a more like layered and more so focusing on the certain landscapes shots, and also certain scenes where when there were cuts, they were fairly smooth. It didn't feel like it was just trying to hit the marks and get the audience feeling a certain way because that's all they had to work with. It didn't feel like that. The use of the landscape shots, to me, they really made me feel kind of like, how can I say, almost like as if I was feeling both like I was in a open space and an open field, but at the same time, I felt like I was being suffocated while watching this movie, because the landscapes felt so kind of like barren-like, but yet not entirely without, life, not without like some trees, grass, and stuff like that. But because the walk was so, just so terrifying and such a like it made you feel like as if you were more so walking in a desert and could drop dead at any point, more so than you were just walking hundreds of miles from state to state kind of thing. The landscapes made the walk feel more, the shots of the landscapes made the walk feel even more unbearable and kind of just like Like, and every time you heard a gunshot, you're like, okay, I need to pick up the pace, because I don't want to be the next one if my, you know, if all three of my strikes are out, kind of deal. All in all, this film truly made me feel a lot of feelings, guys, and sort of takes me back to those films. Like I said, it takes me back to Platoon. It takes me back to Braveheart and The Hunger Games, which means this film is not for the faint of heart. There are some depressing deaths in the film. I will let y'all know that if you haven't seen it yet. And the true horror to me in this film was kind of just the loss of young lives and the false promises of hope and a chance at a better life. That was the horror that was the horror elements to me in this film, because it was just heartbreaking when you would see certain characters get, taken out like that. It was just so sad, and anyone can relate. That's the thing. But I truly did enjoy the movie in a sense that I found it very moving. And however, would I want to see this movie again? Give me a few months and then I'll get back to you guys on that. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would have to give this film a 9.7. I honestly can say that I don't really have too much to complain about for this movie. I enjoyed it, like I already said, and I thought that the story was well done, very well put together, and the acting was brilliant by the cast, and the thrills and horror elements were enough to make me think, just enough to make me think twice about the pace that I'm keeping when I'm walking just around the neighborhood. Not the park, just my neighborhood. Well, that's all for now, you guys. But I have been thinking about the idea of doing a full spoiler talk on this film, but that's only if you guys would like to see that, because I would like to, if I did do it, I would like to dive a little bit more into the comparison and contrast of from the book to the movie, and also the fact that especially the different endings that they have. And I would love to go more into that and further discussion with you guys, because it would be more fun to see, like, to probably see why the filmmakers chose to do it the way they did it. Or actually, if you guys would love to see a spoiler review on this film, in the comment section below, put "Let's Walk." And if I see enough "Let's Walks" in the comment section, then I just might do it for you guys. And my next movie review that I will be doing is on Him, so expect that to be coming out soon as well. But till then, I hope to see you guys on my next video. And also, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you've seen the movie, please let me know that in the comment section down below. That would be great. And if there's anything else that I did not cover in this that you thought that I should have, please leave that in the comment section below, and maybe we can start a little conversation about it. Until then, let's keep walking! Can't believe I chose to wear this hat like as if it was a good enough military hat.